just so that I can stay in contact with my other children. On top of that, spending those years cycling in and out of jail. I endured assaults, had my belongings stolen, and was repeatedly arrested, often wondering if I could ever find a way out of that cycle. The sense of hopelessness was crushing, and it's a feeling that traps so many people in the cycle of homelessness. When everyone around you is stuck in the same cycle, it becomes impossible to see a way out. Many people who are unhoused don't encounter anyone who has ever escaped from that system. And without seeing examples of success, the idea of change feels like an unreachable dream. Hopelessness becomes not just a barrier, keeping people from even trying to change their circumstances. When the opportunity for help presented itself in 2019, I knew I had to act. Taking that first step wasn't easy, but it became the turning point that saved my life. When I arrived at the Illumination Foundation shelter, which, mind you, I was taken there by the Anaheim Police Department, first time not being taken to jail, but actually taken somewhere to get help, it took me just a little over a month to really start to rebuild my life. I was able to get my ID, my social security card, my birth certificate, and those were the essential keys to unlocking new opportunities, which made it seem like a new sense of normalcy. I started attending church regularly, which gave me structure and a purpose during a time of uncertainty. I began to feel hope again, and it became the foundation for my recovery and growth. Through my interviews that I did with my professor, we learned that many people don't share my positive view of shelters. Some compare shelters to the jail, with abusive staff and harsh rules. The constant concern for safety leads many to prefer sleeping in less secure but more familiar locations on the street, despite the increased risk. This choice is driven not only by fear, but also by a deep sense of hopelessness. Although I understand this feeling all too well, my experience was different. After living in the shelter for 9 months, I was able to move out into my own place. Since then, I have been able to move again. I now have been reunified with my 16-year-old daughter who lives with me full-time and attends Fullerton High School. Not the one that was adopted though. So when I say that, many people think the one that was adopted. I still have not reunified with her. It's been 9 years since I've seen her. But during this time, I've been able to not only start to rebuild my life, but I was able to go to Fullerton College and earn 5 associate degrees. Then transferred to Cal State Fullerton, earning my bachelor's, and I'm now in my 3rd week of law school. Nice. I am also the founder and executive director of Families Inspiring Reentry and Reunification for Everyone, a nonprofit here in Orange County that is dedicated to providing support to those who have been impacted by incarceration, as well as those who have child welfare cases and people who are currently unhoused and on the street. I go into the women's jail and the men's jail every week to teach a reentry curriculum that I've created for them. And during this time, I also have been able to publish 3 books, sharing my journey from homelessness and addiction and incarceration to now. The first book is a book of poetry, kind of just sharing my experiences. And so I share my story the way that I do because my story is a testament to what can happen when the cycle of hopelessness is broken. Too often, unhoused individuals, often battling poverty, but also the crushing effects of isolation and despair. Every person deserves the chance to break free, to rise, and to thrive. And with compassion and opportunity, lives can be rebuilt step by step. My experience shows that resilience, when met with support, can lead to powerful transformation. So thank you for allowing me to share.
Yeah, I'm not nearly that impressive, but I'll try to only take up 5 minutes of time. When this project started, I was in a room with a group of other professors, and they were asking all the questions that you would from the high-end view down, which was like, what programs work, what programs don't work, what needs to get more investment, what programs need less investment. And I guess by the end of our process, what occurred to me was almost no recovery works the first time you try it. Raise your hand if you ever had a diet, right? And, you know, now put your hand down if you're not still on the exact same diet you did the very first time you tried to diet. Or you tried to quit smoking, or you tried to make any significant life change. It never worked the first time, right? And I think the same can be true of homelessness. It's a series of dysfunctional things that have become ingrained that are super difficult to get out. And to me, that, you know, what I learned during this process was that we started by asking the wrong set of questions. Like we were asking, what intervention do you need? What's effective? What would help get you off the street? And I think just listening to Stephanie's story, well, I had to get arrested 17 times. And then the 18th time, I went to the shelter and then it worked, right? And so I do think what I'm going to share is mostly just we got a diversity of opinions back. But kind of the take-home point is trying to evaluate these programs you would a normal city or county operation is not really the right way to go about doing it, right? That it is important that the correct supports are there when somebody finally has it work the 6th or 7th time, but we shouldn't really count those first 5 times as failure. We should think of those as part of the process that anyone goes through when they're making any significant life change in any significant recovery. So we eventually went out. It says up here, this was a qualitative study, and so that meant that we weren't trying to actually count things. We were trying to listen to stories, look for themes, and understand experiences. We approached 62 people, and we were eventually able to get 33 effective interviews. And these are sort of the conclusions that we came with. The first one is that the information about the various programs is not widely accessible. When we asked people, you know, where would you go for a shelter? Most of them could name a spot or two, but they certainly couldn't say there's 8 different shelters and here's the one that I like, or there are 9 different programs and this is the one that I like, or where do you go to get food? How do you get a shower? There was not a widespread understanding of all the various options that were available. By a wide margin, the way information moves is by word of mouth. And so when Stephanie was saying, if you're hanging around people and no one has any idea, the people that you talk to when you're living in the park have no ideas, you don't get, no new information gets in there, but if they have something that works or doesn't work, they will tell you about it. And what the common theme is, don't go to that shelter. I had a bad experience there. And so that was having a big impact on the folks here. Once you do get into service, I think Stephanie mentioned this, it's sort of Byzantine. Like there's so many different service providers and so many different forms and so many different waiting lists that you have to get on that, asking people who don't have a stable address and are dealing with mental health issues to navigate a bureaucracy that would kill an undergraduate, it is part of the problem. It's part of the reason that things are working. The shelters can be effective. You can get off of them. They too seem to be part of the revolving door. It's a place to go for a little while, but at the back end of it, there's not a clear path to a perfect housing solution. And I had mentioned that symposium. At the end of the symposium that we held last October, we got together just about everybody who's working on housing in Orange County, which included Tim Shaw, he's the chair of the Orange County Continuum of Care Board, Pujabal, the chief executive officer of the Illumination Foundation, Kelly Bruno-Nielsen, the executive director of Medi-Cal in Maine, Bex Hago-Colville of the Orange County United Way. She's also the executive director of their United Homelessness Program. And Kelsey Brewer is the vice president of business development at the Jamboree Housing Foundation. We got together all these interesting people to have them share their experiences and their ideas. And if there was one problem we had, it was that it got so repetitive because they all kept saying the exact same thing. The problem is there is not enough affordable housing. I know in the city of Fullerton, that was a major point of dispute when the housing element came up. There was lots of pushback on how many low-income housing units we need, but amongst the experts and the people that work day to day at the county level on this, there has to be more affordable housing. It's just not there. And almost any recovery program you put someone through, if at the end of that, right, the end point for every single intervention you might do is, and then you move into a stable housing situation. Okay, and if there's not a housing situation for you to move into, that's going to, it's not going to matter how many treatment programs that are available to you. And so that was just, kind of the take-home point that if we try to honestly face the problem, not from the, honestly face the problem of what are the challenges that are preventing people who are currently unhoused from finding housing. you tend to find this, and to me, it keeps coming back to, it takes an awful lot of tries, and it takes an awful lot of support needs to be there for someone to get to the point where Stephanie is, to go from living in your car to hiring a law school. An amazing amount of character and courage, and it's very important that there be some supports there for you, so that when it finally clicks, and you finally get in that police car to get to a shelter, there's something in place where you can see a pathway out of your hopeless situation and into, here's how I get from where I am now to permanent housing situation. Stephanie and I presented to the Fullerton City Council, and this was our last slide. It's sort of drive home the point for them, but this comes from Matthew 25. I was hungry, you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, you invited me in. I did whatever you did to the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you have done for me. And so I think there's very much for the people who are less willing to take up the cause that this group has taken up, there's a feeling that you are resistant to treatment, right? You are a drug addict, you are a criminal, there's something wrong with you. And to me, I'm constantly reminded those are the people that we most need to reach out to. Those are we're meeting our highest spiritual calling when we are responding to those people that otherwise have their back turned up. I think that's what I took from the experience, and as all professors do, I learned much more from the students than they learned from me. We promised a 15-minute presentation. We're ready in 15 minutes, and anything we would like to talk about at this point, we'd be happy to have it. Yeah.
So to follow on with your closing here about compassion, there was that Supreme Court decision that then got translated into unnecessarily used directive from our governor telling all the cities that they should run out and criminalize people for being homeless. But ultimately, it's up to the city whether or not they want to pursue that path. Do you advocate for that path as seeing that as being a way to get people help, or do you advocate for lightening up on penalties against people who are homeless?
Yeah. Steph and I met in the legal communication class, right? So we learned a lot of that. It is a true misinterpretation of that Supreme Court case, right? To say, oh, so we have to criminalize it. It's not what it said. But the academic research on criminalization versus support is very one-sided and very conclusive that criminalizing rarely helps it. Having said that, not all behavior should be legal, right? And if you do something criminal, that should be there does need to be there does need to be something to it. But the emphasis on criminalization, the academic research will clearly show that it's never once solved one housing problem for a single city anywhere, right? And housing first solutions are much, much more likely to actually improve and are more cost effective.
Yeah, it just continues to perpetuate the harm, right? It's like you run in there, you make them clear out, you take them to jail. They're in jail just for a couple of days. You can't hold anyone in jail, for citing them because they're living in tent encampments. And then they get out and then they're right back. And so it's not solving the problem at all. And what I see in my work when we go out and we do try and help people to even offer the support, there's not enough beds. And just the challenges of trying to get people into a homeless shelter, even if there is a bed available, they have to have ties to the city. Well, how do you prove that this person has ties to the city? Like they haven't had any mail, or you have to get this third-party verification just to get someone into the shelter. So when you come across someone who is willing and ready to accept the help, there's no help for them, right? And I think that's one of the issues that we just keep running into here in Orange County is there's not enough beds available, and trying to get them from the street straight into like an apartment, that's even more challenging because of all the requirements that a person has to have. So yeah, I don't think criminalization is the way to go. It's like putting a Band-Aid on it, and then within a couple of days, it's like the problem is there again.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It was about 2 weeks ago, I got a phone call from a woman that lives about 3 miles from here in Point Park. She said that there was a homeless woman in the neighborhood. who should she call? And I said, I don't know, or just call the Illumination Foundation or the police, and I don't know, they gave her something to eat, the neighbors did, but I don't know what happened to this woman. So who do you call?
Yeah, so I mean, every city works different. I mean, CityNet is one of the ones that, you know, they're in Santa Ana, they have a Santa Ana Street, you know, they're in Anaheim, they have the Anaheim, you have, the Hope Team that can help, for North Orange County cities, that's one that I usually would recommend to call, because they can check to see if that person has ties to a Orange County shelter, and then if they do, they can then proceed to try and make a referral to get that person into, you know, Orange County. If they're in, you know, South County, then there's a different group over there in South County that you would have to contact. So it just really depends on like the area that the person is. But I would recommend for North Orange County cities, the Hope Team as one.
What is the whole team anyway? How do you find their phone number?
I'll give, we'll give
Okay.
the contact.
We'll give
when
the- yeah, we have the
we'll give
contact.
Just the other thing I'll say about criminalization is almost everybody we talk to had some significant interaction with their criminal justice. Either cops arrested me, the cops beat me up, I have been convicted of a crime before, I've been admitted to murder before, something, and none of it had ever stopped them from being homeless, right? So I think that, and the interactions with the police were mostly, but not universally negative. They could identify there was definitely some police that had action, were out there trying to help. And the one other thing that I'll just add to that is there's been a number, like Orange County is a little bit, you know, like unlike LA, because you've got LA City and LA County and they're kind of the same thing. And Orange County's got like, what, 34 different cities, 35 different cities in the county. And so where you happen to be arrested, it makes a huge difference. In some cities, you have to get a referral from the police department to get access to services. And one thing that we had found in the interviews is many times I would call the police department and say, could I talk to the officer in charge of homelessness? The police department had no idea what I was doing. You know, like you'd call the front desk and there was not such an officer, and that officer, if they were there, had, you know, it was something they listed on the various duties, but they didn't even know how to make a referral to get someone to the shelter. All of which is a long-winded way of saying that whatever involving criminal justice has in the solutions here needs to be way more coordinated, way more thoughtful than simply penalizing, partial penalties on people who don't know where else to go.
I have a question about the work with Cal State Fullerton. How can we help support the research, and how can we collaborate more? Is there like a plan moving forward after this now?
The next symposium we have is coming up on October 17th, and it's going to focus on getting the data coordinators. But I will just say this. If you were to look at San Diego and San Francisco and Los Angeles and say, where has housing been researched more thoroughly, you'll find scores of studies on Los Angeles County and dozens of studies in San Francisco and maybe 4 in Orange County. And so if you wanted to ask basic questions like, how many unhoused people are there in Orange County? How often does that get counted? When was the last count? What method do you use to count it? There's not a good answer to that question. And if you said, now what services are available? How many beds are there in Orange County for unhoused people, and how many permanent supportive housing units are there? There's not a good way to answer that question either. And so what we're focusing on now is trying to get Orange County up to speed with where other major metropolitan areas are just in the use of data. But what we're hoping is to get end users and practitioners involved in that conversation. So it's not just government researchers and academics talking to each other. And so what we'd like, your help, I believe, it's probably not immediate, is to get a good answer to that question. If you see an unhoused person, when you pick up the phone, what number do you call? And how can you find that in a more effective way? And then get that information more distributed to community organizations that are interested in doing something progressive to solve the problem. So we hope to remain engaged with this group and stay in touch and make sure that you know what we're doing and that we can get information. Ruthie.
So I find it really interesting. Most folks have access to phones which we know is a great source of information. But even if they know where the proper places to go and the shelters that exist, you're saying the challenge is the numbers of beds, right? There is no place to go, even if they know where to go. In your experience, did you learn anything about the quality of the shelters or the beds that are available, government versus nonprofit? As far as like, when we're advocating and saying we need more beds, who should be doing that? Who do we talk to say our community needs more beds? Who is responsible for then taking that challenge up?
That's a great question. I don't know for sure. I mean, I would want to say possibly starting with the Orange County Continuum of Care because they are like real instrumental here in Orange County as far as like governing the shelters and the nonprofit organizations that are doing this type of work. I mean, ultimately, like I need to like our legislators, right? Like, I do a lot of legislation, we do policy, and I'm always in Sacramento. And working with legislators who are here in Orange County that we can talk to do that budget ask, like, look, you know, we're seeing challenges with beds available. Can you delegate this much amount of money so that there can become more beds? Another thing that we had noticed though with that is even if there were beds available, the reluctance for some people to even go to the shelter, like Professor was saying, just because of what they heard from other people. So automatically, a lot of people are like, they've never been to a shelter, but they didn't want to go because of how they heard that other people were treated by going to the shelter. So they just would rather stay out there. So then there's that issue too. It's like, even if you say, hey, there's a bed available, like, come on. They're like, oh, no, I'm good. Like, I'll stay out here.
Marketing problems too.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I actually had, Steph and I met in the legal communication class, and had another student from that class who had become homeless, and she got in touch with me, and we spent a bunch of time just trying to find her a shelter. And at the end of the day, the only place we could get her in was, you had to currently be drunk. I was like, so, if I give her a ride and a fifth of whiskey and she gets drunk as we drive there, you can take her there, but if we show up sober, she can't get in. They're like, yes, that's exactly what it is. So, I will say, part of the issue and what the community, I think, needs to ask more of is just coordination, right? The county wants to be involved in this, but they have no land, right? And if you're talking to Tim Shaw, the head of the Orange County Continuum of Care, it's his job to try to get it coordinated, and he just keeps saying, look, the cities are all doing their own thing, and they're not coordinated with the different service providers who aren't doing the same thing with the county. And I think what we need community organizations to do is to say, we need the county to make it so that there's a phone number you can call that gets you access to a safe bed, regardless of where you're living. And that's supposed to be the 211 number now, and it's not. Sorry, so you got it.
So, a couple things. When during your research, did you ever talk to Judge Carter?
Yeah, I did.
So the reason I bring that up is part of the challenge with Orange County. I worked in LA, so I can see the difference. Is that you're divided up into so many cities, and the cities themselves were dealing with homelessness in vastly different ways. I mean, we can sit and debate it, but vastly different. And then the judge got involved and said, listen, you guys gonna fix it, or I'm gonna fix it for you. And it was only after that you started to see movement. But I think the thing, and I'm gonna tell you because I was on the inside when this was all kind of happening, the thing that I see as one of the challenges, and I think it might answer your question as what to do next, is that the cities don't want homeless in their city. Bottom line, that's what it is. And they're looking for ways to come to the edge where they're not violating the law, but not enough to be able to really deal with the problem. And the way to deal with that is you've got to advocate within your community. That means in the city of Fullerton, you really got to come to the city council and let them know how you're feeling. And I think what happens is that you get these opposing discussions of we don't want them here, we want them here, we want to help them, and so it becomes confused. But when you work collectively together, which is our intent, is to work as a collaborative partner, and you mobilize and you say, listen, we understand the challenges of the mental health part of it, we understand the challenges of, you know, the getting caught up into that, you know, cycle. But the things we're doing right now, we're throwing money and we're not I mean, it's like an abyss. We're not solving the problem. And so when you get these people in here, I'm gonna tell you, I won't say who they are, but when you get these individuals in here and they start discussing it, they're discussing it from a totally different vantage point that have frankly little to do with solving the problem, more to do with how do I keep from people complaining in my community. And I think that that's where the problem is. Whereas when I was in LA, because you're only dealing with really two different cities, our county and a city, they are robust enough to be able to say, this is what we're gonna do, or this is what we're gonna do, and you're only talking about, you know, a couple of different departments. Here, you're talking about 34. And so that's really the challenge is how do you mobilize the communities in every one of those cities to say, listen, we can work collectively, or we can work individually, we gotta work collectively and basically, so like you said, say this is a county problem. We're just a piece of it, but in order to solve it, we gotta work collectively together.
Yeah, 100%.
Amen.
If Tim Shaw were here, the head of the Orange County Continuum of Care, though, he would say, you need to be at the planning commission meeting, not the city council.
Absolutely.
Right, because the city council meeting will have the loudest voice, well, least reasonable voice in the city, and they're just yelling at the members of the city. What he would say is, okay, but there's a planning commission meeting, and nobody ever shows up for those. Like, if 2 members of the community show up, that's a landslide showing. Like, if 5 people showed up and all said, we are in favor of this housing development, right? Because we want a place where people that have housing, you know, low income housing to go. His take is, by the time that gets to the city council, it's a done deal. And that all that rancor can largely be abated if there's more collective action. And that does not solve the 34 city problem, but it does something to solve the rancor.
Thank you.
I think that's right.
Time flew by.
Well, thank you, John and Stephanie, so much. And Stephanie, we are so proud of you, your story, and could ask you a whole bunch more questions. So thank you for your honesty and vulnerability.
And check out her flyer, her nonprofit. It's at your table.
Yeah, so we will continue this talk. I wanted to just put out the Hope Center in case you don't need it. So you ready? So the Hope Center is the contact in North Orange County if you want to call. They are essentially the gatekeepers to get in any one of these shelters in one of our cities around here. So that is a place you need to go, even though it probably will start with just a phone call and a message. They generally are pretty good about getting back to you and following up and working with the individual clients. And honestly, I don't know, maybe you do, James, what happens if that's Friday at 5 o'clock or Saturday. It might be, I'm not sure. I know their goal is to get to the place where that there is an answer and a response on the weekend, but I don't know if they're there yet. But anyways, here's the number, ready? 657-243-1884. That's the Hope Center. That is the contact for North Orange County, with the exceptions of Anaheim. That is if you're in North Orange County City, that's where you need to start essentially. Okay.
CityNet is 7 days a week if they're in Anaheim or.
In Anaheim,
they're 7 days.
CityNet will be your contact. Yes. Okay. Well, we thank you for great presentation and work you're doing, and we look forward to continuing to work together. So I want to bring up our fearless leader, Debbie Stout, and she's going to come in at our last meeting. Many of you, I think, how many total?
We have 39.
39 people actually got on the phone and filled out the survey, and so Deborah's going to share the results of that.
Absolutely, thank you. And yes, we are excited. We didn't want the data to go away, and I don't want you to be over indented by data today, but I do want to share what we learned as we are looking at what you said, which is helpful, and what our plan is as we move forward. We utilized the survey as a discussion point for our last board meeting and retreat to really look at and hone in our strategic plan for the next upcoming year. So as mentioned, we had 39 people participate in the survey. One of the things that I did do as well is that the survey is something that we did in 2024 as well. So we actually had 21 members participate in the survey last year, 39 this year. So we had an 86% increase of people that participate in this survey. Really, the goal last month, as I mentioned, is really to assess how satisfied you are, your engagement, and also our alignment with our strategic plan. That was the purpose of our discussion. We use the Likert scales, we use open feedback as a method. So part of our discussion at our retreat was to look at what the strengths were and some of the wins. So something that we wanted to share with you today is just to say what we are doing well as a collaborative, what you are doing because you're part of our collaborative, and how we can also work forward, moving forward. So networking, you love the networking. And we do have the opportunity before our meetings to network, but also outside of these meetings. You feel connected. You also feel that the board, we have an amazing, amazing board, and they're here to connect with you. We actually have a stronger report of the connection of the board. I'm working on being accessible to you with my multiple hats, but also we looked at some of the other wins were partnerships. Some of the partnerships that you've made over the last year or 2 years has been a successful win for the collaborative. We've also increased our visibility within the community, both through social media and other areas. And we've also shared resources and also shared community impact moving forward. So some things that we took away from this as we talked in our meeting was areas that we needed to look at supporting you a little bit more at. So one of the things that you asked was resource leveraging. And so how can we help nonprofits gain the resources to help you in your work? And so it actually has increased, the average score increased from last year, so we're doing better, but this is an area that we want to even do even more so. So moving forward, one of the things that we discussed is that we do have Victoria, who's the chair of the Fullerton Community Foundation, which is the charity arm of our collaborative. And so she does generally do monthly reports in this meeting. One of the things that we've encouraged her to do is also share in our meeting opportunities for nonprofits to get and gain grants and opportunities that come up that she hears about. So she'll be able to share more of that moving forward in the upcoming year. We also said that policy, one of the things that we could do better at is policy. It also increased from last time, well, these are the weaker areas, but how can we help support policy and making a difference in, not necessarily in the city council level, but possibly organizations like the school districts and so forth. So how can we help support policy that is the collaborative? Training and capacity building, and also membership barriers. We also looked at what we help support you in these opportunities moving forward. And really identifying why should you join the collaborative and why is it important for you to be here. Because we really appreciate all of what you have participated in. So I've mentioned the trends over time, looking at last year versus this year, goals, resources, policy change, and all of that impacted. There's been a slight dip in the networking and membership. One of the things that we took away was, well, who's missing at our table? And if you look around this room, we always encourage you to invite members to come and join with us. But we are looking at, should we look at doing small businesses, inviting the Chamber of Commerce, maybe some public health. And so looking in the upcoming year, we actually are looking at inviting the Chamber of Commerce and having a presentation, bringing businesses to this meeting as well, so we can have the nonprofits connect with those businesses. That's one of the hopes in the 2025-26 year. We also looked at opportunities for utility companies, police and fire, and the Orange County Department of Education. You will be seeing a little bit of a change in our agenda. We're going to be inviting the fire, the police, the utility companies to do a 2-minute update on anything that is going to be new or things that they need to get out to the community. Maybe some trends, some safety trends or fire. So we'll be bringing them and they'll do like a quick 2-minute update on their area to be able to support that as well. We also want to, like I said, share those grant opportunities more widely, maybe possibly supporting the resource fairs I know that there's some great ones in the city that we want to support and collaborate with, and connecting our nonprofits to them as well. We are going to increase the visibility of the community calendar. We are working on just getting that out more for the members, to sharing those community events so that we can coordinate and collaborate on what events are happening. I know there's some amazing things happening this month. It's pretty busy out there, but working on sharing that more so as well. And then we are also connecting with the foundation and funding, the priorities within our funders, and how we can help support our nonprofits moving forward. So that is our findings. And if there is, we just wanted to open it up in like 1 or 2 minutes. Is there anything additionally that you see that would be helpful moving forward in this upcoming, technically this is a new year, we started in July, how we can help support you and your organizations?
I have a list of places what's going on.
Who's on this?
I thought we were right. Anyway, the Lions Club, all the Lions Clubs collect used eyeglasses,
Okay.
and we give them away to the needy. So what we have is a vision streaming every Saturday, either in northern Mexico or southern California, from California Lions Friends and Sight. And so they can come in and get their eyes checked. If they need glasses, they can take them with them, right there and there. Because right now, we had a district meeting on Saturday, and I put 347 pairs of glasses that I collected. There's a list on the table of places where you can drop off food.
Fantastic. So more collaboration that you need.
One place is in the library, here, right over there, but they're closed now.
Yeah.
We have an eyeglass collection bar and certain other locations in the Fullerton area.
Okay,
So
so
if you do that,
fantastic.
then we'll serve the public.
That's fantastic. Excellent. So I'm going to turn it, okay. Another comment? Yes.
2 things. I love the idea of doing collaborative grants, because I think I've seen examples when nonprofits have money together, they work together, it just creates great capacity to do more. I guess I was wondering, you said, I don't know if it was meant to misspeak, but you said something about not influencing the city council, but others.
But not only city council.
Okay.
So there's policy change that could happen not only at the city council level, but also within the organization and maybe school district or different organizations as well.
Okay.
Not just focusing on just one area, and that's what we will have.
In my few years that I've been a part of it, I haven't seen a really, I guess, collective effort to push certain policies, or when there's an agenda to pay attention and let the members know. Is that something we'd be interested in doing, like paying attention to more public meeting agendas, or looking at issues as they come up, thinking about homelessness and how we either bring them to the county or to the city?
Absolutely. So that's one of the things, as a 501c3 nonprofit organization, there's some things that we can and cannot do. So we have to be aware of that. But one of the things that we do have on our board, we will have a board member that will be identified as someone that will be watching all these agendas. And so if you see something as a collaborative member, that'll be the point person, say, this is what's going on, you may want to have a discussion. And if we as a board want to make a statement or a letter, we can do that as well. Or we can also just say, that's a good idea, we can send it out to the collaborative members and just say, this is what's going to happen. Not that we will be sending the agenda, but where can we go get the agendas? And how can I find out?
Okay, so that is an intention to have somebody on the board that we do that work.
Yes.
But at sometimes, like even with the youth committee, you know, we become a more active partner, so we are influencing a policy change with that. But sometimes we're a silent partner. We're creating an awareness campaign, and you saw that with the Union Pacific Trail, that where the community is mobilizing. So it really depends on what the situation is and what our role would be, you know. So again, this platform right here is probably the most important, because this is the awareness. And if any agency or any group needs some support, the best thing to do is to let the group know, and then hopefully we'll find advocates here.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to switch gears now to our leader again.
So just wanted to update you, your board spent about 4 hours together at the end of August. kind of going through the assessment of what Debbie just shared with you, and also just trying to how do we pull ourselves together and address some of these other things that are more difficult, like we've talked about policy and grant writing and collective work and finding funding together. So those are things that we want to make progress in, and some of that we recognize is going to happen in some of these different groups that we've identified as these 4 subcommittees that we're a part of. And so those are our specialties, and I don't think our community foundation folks aren't here today, but early childhood. Debbie,
Yes,
anything
sorry.
to report other than the next meeting?
Yes, so the next meeting that I also wanted to send out, Linda could not make it today. She wanted to let you know that she's gonna be sending a survey. She sent it to me and I'm gonna be forwarding it to you. It is designed for parents of preschool age children and will help us gather, it says valuable input on the expand our full year preschool programs in the Fullerton School District. So we're sending out a survey. We're asking collaborative members to be the point person for some of those preschool parents to gather some more information. There's going to be a new platform on how they're meeting, but they're going to be meeting on Zoom on the 18th at 3 o'clock. If you would like that, it's also going to be in the email. I'll just forward that whole email so you can join the meeting for the early childhood.
Perfect, thank you. James, anything to update on our homelessness?
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. We did not meet last month, but we will be meeting next week, next Wednesday at 11 a.m. We are continuing to look for additional folks to join that subcommittee. So if you have anybody who's interested or you'd like to refer anybody, please feel free to reach back out to me, and I'll stick around if anybody has any questions. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. And back over here for the next gen report. Back over here to Peter.
So, I share this position with Amy, not here, on Bev. She's both, so between the 3 of us, we manage the Next Gen Committee. We actually had a meeting with, just a couple weeks ago with the Deputy City Manager and talked about the Youth Committee, which is gonna be going back to City Council for some changes to make things a little bit easier for us to meet. And I think that that shouldn't be a problem. Our next meeting is on October 9th, and it'll be a Zoom meeting. I do want to say that we did get a commitment from the city that we are going to have Government Day, and that is going to happen. Did we decide on early spring? Is that what it was? I can't remember.
Don't know yet.
Don't know yet, okay. So that's definitely going to happen, but also we're going to start working on the Youth Summit. And that's going to be managed by the collaborative. So you'll be hearing more and more as we have further discussions with the city on how we're going to move forward with the youth committee. And so I do want to say that if you want, please join us on October 9th. Thank you.
Peter, you want to use your big voice?
Good afternoon, everyone. So I have 3 announcements on behalf of the Health and Wellness Subcommittee group. So for the first announcement, I know that I talk about it every month, and so I did want to announce that we are extending our Move Your Way quarterly health and wellness challenge until the end of December. And so as a reminder, we are focusing on 3 different healthy behavior goals with this challenge. And so one of them focuses on moving more, right? Because we know any movement is better than no movement. And so really trying to meet the federal recommendation for physical activity in 1 day, which is 60 minutes for children and then 30 minutes for adults daily. The second goal really focuses on just drinking more water, right? Healthier beverages. And then the third one focuses on making half your plate fruits and vegetables. So really focusing on eating more whole fruits and vegetables. And so as a reminder, we do have flyers in the back if you haven't signed up yet. And if there are any community partners that are interested in having our team come out to provide any direct education or participate in any of your events, please let us know, and we'd be happy to support with those endeavors. The second announcement that I have is every first Wednesday of October, nationwide, there's an initiative that focuses on safe routes to schools. And so with that said, we are partnering up with the Fullerton School District, the police department, the city of Fullerton, and our subcommittee as well, really to promote Walk to School Day. And so with Walk to School, we're working with different school sites from the Fullerton School District that might be interested in engaging in active transportation. And so we're very closely working with the team to promote and increase awareness about Walk to School Day. So we have banners, stickers, and our team is gonna go out to different school sites just to promote walking to school. So that's the second announcement. And we are looking for volunteers, so if anyone's available, please let me know. And the third announcement is this Saturday. As you all may be aware, the city of Fullerton, in partnership with the Kaboom Project, will be hosting a park built on Trustlow. And so this project really focuses on providing play equity and focusing on building playgrounds in the most underserved areas within different cities in the US. And so the city of Fullerton was awarded the Kaboom project. And so this Saturday, our team will be out there building the project. And I know that Edgar, I don't know if Edgar's here, I know Chewy left, but they're looking for volunteers. And so if anyone is available, we could share the flyer that has the QR, oh, there we go. The flyer with the QR code. And so if you could please sign up, it's an Eventbrite, and it's from 8 a.m. until 12 p.m. this Saturday. And then Thursday, there's also an opportunity to set up for the park build on Saturday. So I think that's everything. Anything else? Oh, definitely. All right, that's everything, Jay.
Excellent work, thank you, Peter. That's exciting. Anybody planning on being there at the bill besides David, who's been this longtime promoter of Kaboom? Anyways, it's a great event to be a part of, and I've been fortunate to be a part of a couple of those. So it's pretty amazing to see them come together. So we do have a couple of board issues that we need to talk about. James Kennedy, right here, raise your hand, James. And Iris, I saw her here earlier, and then she had to leave. So Iris Aguilar, she's the director of the Center for Healthy Neighborhoods. And so Iris and James have both been invited to be a part of our board. They've said yes. And so we need your approval or disapproval. We'll just say approve. We need your approval. So all in favor, give us a thumbs up. And those who are opposed, make a sad face or a bad face. I see none. Okay, Carrie, thank you so much for the 2 additional board members, which will be great help and assistance to us. We have a couple minutes left. Are there any other community announcements or spotlights that we want to make? You've got 10 or 15 seconds that we can go around. Anybody got anything that you want to add? Okay.
There's so many seats on the table there, I have more of these down. If you would like to table as a nonprofit at the Fullerton Women's Leadership Forum, it's across the street, it's free, open to the public, it is in the evening. It's an opportunity to reach out to your constituents as well as reach out to the committee who may be able to talk or learn more about your nonprofit. So,
Very good.
for you guys, easy to fill out. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Anybody else? Yes.
We have lots going on, but we are working in partnership with the city of Fullerton, and they're doing a drum circle in the all our Charlotte Kids studio on the 4th Saturday of every month. September will be the 3rd time, but we'll go all the way through the new year. And Amy All is running it. If anybody knows Amy All, she's amazing. So come on down, 10:30 to 11:30.
Excellent, thank you. Any other exciting things going on?
Yeah, I'll share. And Fullerton Elementary School District is going to have an event we host for families on October 18th. It's a Saturday morning. And part of that is a resource fair. So if you have a nonprofit that serves families, especially with young children, K-8 ages, we would love to invite you to think about hosting a table of space. So I know Rosanna Fonseca has probably reached out to a lot of you, but if there's anybody that wasn't a part of that, we can get you in touch with Rosanna.
It's 9 to
9 to 1.
9 to 1, thank you. Very good. Any other important information to share? Well, thank you all for coming and giving a good chunk of our time. It was amazing to hear your story, Stephanie. We're very encouraged by that. And excited about your work becoming a lawyer and being an advocate for improving at a deeper level. So we're gonna address the problem and fix things. So that's good. All right, God bless you all. Have a great afternoon.
I saw that. I know I read it already.
Yeah, I am like, so I live in Anaheim now, but I say I'm a Fullerton girl. I'm like my grandfather's whole life. So our family home is right there by the park, actually. Like we all have been to Fullerton, high school, college. I am a Fullerton. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you get the paper.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
My daughter, my train ticket, and this is my daughter, my grandson, my great-granddaughter. So we got 4 generations.
I can find her photo.
And obviously they didn't have a meeting, so I didn't miss anything.
No, I know, right?
Okay.
Everything else okay?
Oh, yeah, we had a definite family. My son was going to Portugal, and the day before our birthday, his girlfriend's mother had a stroke, passed away. And so they had to cancel their trip to Portugal, and they were in Italy, and they had to come back. Other than that, everything was
Yeah, I just got back from vacation, so I just had more than a week off.
Really?
Yeah, I went to Mallorca.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's been, so it's got a lot of sun, as if I don't need it, but I got it ready.
Oh, that's
We
good.
had a great time.
Well, that's good.
All right.
Now maybe you can
I was coming back from another meeting, and I knew it was gonna be late. And I got
There would be a lot of,
his phone.
alignment. It's possible.